All right, let's jump right into this explainer. This is designed specifically for all you educators and homeschooling parents out there to help your early learners master what is honestly one of the most versatile letters in the entire alphabet, the letter C. If you teach kindergarten or early elementary, you already know that introducing a new letter is a massive milestone. So today, we're unpacking a really comprehensive guide from Crimson Grove Educational Resources that literally transforms this standard lesson into a total adventure.
Now, if you want to hook your students right out of the gate, you've got to frame the letter C as a dual-sound adventure, right? Not just some confusing grammatical hurdle. The letter C is kind of like a chameleon. Sometimes it makes a hard sound, like in cat and cup, and other times it makes a soft sound, like in city and scent. It totally depends on the vowel that follows it. But for our purposes today, and really for any early beginner, we are going to focus almost all of our instructional energy right onto that hard C sound.
So here's our game plan. We are going to review the letter B, master that hard C sound, build out our core vocabulary, start building sentences, get into some hands-on practice, and finally, look at our next steps.
Starting off with Section 1, Reviewing Letter B. Before we hit them with something brand new, we absolutely have to activate what they already know. So we look at C's next-door neighbor in the alphabet, and it is incredibly effective to explain the exact phonetic mechanics to your students. Now, obviously, you aren't going to drop the phrase voiced bilabial plosive on a 5-year-old, that'd be wild, but the trick here is to audibly demonstrate that B sound. Have them press both of their lips together and release the air. Get them to say it slowly and physically feel the vibration in their lips. It brilliantly connects the physical sensation in their mouth to the auditory sound they're actually making. And while they've still got that lip buzzing thing going on, just quickly run through some foundational B words to really ground that phonetic awareness. You know, words like ball, baby, book, bed, and button. This quick little review sets up a super confident foundation. It subtly lets the students know, hey, I already have some crucial reading skills down. Moving right along to Section 2, Mastering the Hard C Sound. This is the main event today. Just like we did with the letter B, you want to focus heavily on the physical mechanics. So clearly and slowly demonstrate this hard K sound for them. Have them pay attention to how it's formed at the very back of their mouths right near the throat. You can explain that it sounds literally identical to the K sound. And as a quick rule of thumb for you as the teacher, this hard sound usually shows up right before the vowels A, O, and U. Have your students practice saying it out loud a few times so they can feel that sharp little puff of air coming from the back of the mouth. All right, Section 3, Core Letter C Vocabulary. Now that they've nailed the physical sound, we've got to equip them with a vibrant collection of simple, concrete words. Categorizing this first batch of foundational words is like a brain hack for early learners. It makes the information so much more visually digestible. Grouping them by animals, food, and objects really boosts cognitive retention. So for animals, we've got cat, cow, crab, and camel. For food, we mix sweet treats and veggies, cake, corn, carrot, and cookie. And for everyday objects, car, cup, coat, and candle. These are all super concrete things that young minds can instantly picture. Then we round out our 20-word toolkit with some larger objects like castle and clock, before gently transitioning into slightly more abstract concepts like crayon or cloud. By providing visual representations for all 20 of these words in your classroom, you're building a really robust word bank that anchors that hard C sound right into their daily lives. Section 4. Building Sentences with C. With our vocabulary firmly in place, it is so fun to watch these building blocks of literacy actually snap together into complete sentences. This is exactly where fluency begins. Take a simple sentence like, "The cow eats corn in the field." Notice how it brings the vocabulary to life? We're taking two of our C words, cow and corn, and combining them into a single, easy-to-visualize thought. It proves to the student that words don't just exist in a vacuum, right? They interact to tell a whole story. So you'll want to guide your students through these mini narratives of progress. Show them how their brand new words function in real, everyday communication. Read these out loud nice and slow. The cat sat on the mat. I like to color with my crayon. My coat keeps me warm and cozy. Encourage them to physically track the words with their fingers as you read, and have them point out exactly where that hard K sound pops up.
Here's the second batch of sentences, giving you plenty of material for read-aloud practice. And what's really cool here is how we're actually doubling up on C words in a lot of these. Coins and carpet, crab and sideways, well, actually scratch that, crab is the focus word there, but you get the idea. Castle and clouds, chairs and cookies. You are completely immersing them in the repetition of the letter, giving them multiple cognitive touch points to recognize and pronounce that hard k sound.
Section 5. Hands-on practice exercises. This is where the application phase kicks in, making the learning permanent by engaging multiple sensory pathways. You'll guide the student through a 5-step chronological sequence. We start by physically tracing the letter, then move to matching words to pictures, filling in sentence blanks, doing a word search, and finally, having them write their own C words. This entire sequence is intentionally designed for a gradual release of responsibility, shifting the heavy lifting from the teacher right over to the student.
Let's zoom in on that first step. It is absolutely crucial to focus on the mechanics of tracing first, because that physical repetition is what solidifies the letter's shape in their minds. Give them dotted outlines, have them start with the uppercase C, then move down to the lowercase c. Having them practice this 5 to 10 times really builds up that proper pencil grip and creates a smooth flowing stroke. So it's not just handwriting, it's literally physical memory mapping. Skipping ahead to the third exercise, we have fill in the blank. Imagine the sentence, I have a pet blank at home, and they have to choose between cat or car. Exercises like this directly connect letter recognition to visual and contextual meaning. It forces them to use logic. Obviously, a car isn't a pet, so it has to be cat. This builds massive spelling confidence and deepens their reading comprehension all at the same time.
Finally, Section 6. Next steps and key takeaways. As we wrap up this explainer, we need to talk about how to make sure these new skills actually stick around. Because, let's be real, you can't just teach the letter C on a Monday and expect them to flawlessly remember it by Friday. You've got to incorporate these next steps into your daily routines over the coming weeks. Repeat the tracing and matching. Bring out word cards for daily flashcard practice. Constantly encourage them to write using their new C words. And, super importantly, read C-themed picture books together so they can see these words out in the wild living in real stories. The biggest takeaway here, keep the learning practical, keep it achievable, and keep it joyful. Every single child learns at their own unique pace. So when a student successfully recognizes that cake starts with a hard C, celebrate that small win, make a big deal out of it, and encourage their persistence when they struggle. This learning journey should always feel positive. And that brings us to the end of our letter C adventure. But once they are totally confident with the hard C, it's going to be time to level up. So I'm going to leave you with this to think about. How are you going to spark their curiosity about the other side of the letter C? How will you introduce that soft C sound in words like city and scent without totally confusing them? Think about the visuals and the stories you can leverage for that next big leap in their literacy journey.